All right, let's get right into it. We're tackling a really big, really personal question today. Who gets to define who you are in India? Is it you, the individual, or is it the state?
This quote, it really cuts to the heart of the whole debate, doesn't it? There's a new amendment bill on the table that could completely change the lives of transgender people across the country. And believe me, people are paying attention. We're seeing protests, walkouts from Parliament, because a really fundamental question of rights is on the line.
So to really understand what's happening now, we've got to go back a bit, back to a huge moment in 2014. This was a judgment that basically built a whole new foundation for transgender rights in India.
Before 2014, things were, well, pretty unclear, legally speaking. Society was stuck in a strict male-female binary, and that left transgender people on the margins, without any real recognition. Then came the 2014 NALSA judgment from the Supreme Court. I mean, this was a seismic shift. It formally recognized a third gender, and really paved the way for the 2019 Act, which was supposed to turn those new protections into actual law.
Now, the absolute heart of that NALSA judgment, the real game changer, was this one idea: self-identification. The Supreme Court wasn't just making a new box to tick. No, it was saying that deciding your own gender is a fundamental right. It's not some privilege the government gives you. It's tied directly to the Constitution's right to life, which covers your dignity, your privacy, your autonomy. And the court was crystal clear. You shouldn't need a doctor's note or a government stamp to be who you are.
But now, here we are. The 2026 Amendment Bill is on the table, and it seems to be proposing a complete U-turn, challenging that very foundation. The transgender community is calling it what it is: a major step backward, a reversal of all the progress that's been made.
You can see the conflict laid out perfectly right here. We're watching a massive shift away from an approach based on rights, where your identity is yours to define, over to a system based on control. In this new world, your identity isn't just something you have, it's something that has to be medically proven and then signed off on by the government. It's a move from being inclusive to being restrictive.
So what would this system of control actually look like? Well, get ready for a whole lot of bureaucracy. First, you'd have to apply to a district magistrate. Then you'd have to go through biological and psychological exams by a medical board. That board then decides whether to recommend you or not. This is exactly what activists are talking about when they use the term clinical gatekeeping. It takes something deeply personal, your identity, and turns it into a medical problem that needs a diagnosis before the state will give you its seal of approval. The power is completely taken away from the individual and handed to a committee. Now, of course, the government has its reasons for proposing this change. But the transgender community and its allies have some deep, and I mean existential, worries about what the impact is going to be.
The two sides here are just worlds apart. The government is framing this as an issue of good governance, let's prevent fraud, let's make the paperwork clearer. But for the community, this has nothing to do with paperwork. They see it as a straight-up violation of their privacy and their right to control their own bodies. They see it as the government trying to undo a Supreme Court ruling, and as a profound attack on their very dignity. And when you look at who gets left out by this new, narrower definition, the impact is huge. It basically erases large parts of the community from legal recognition. We're talking about people with self-perceived identities, non-binary people, gender-fluid people, gone. The focus would shrink to only cover specific groups, which just leaves so many others without any protection at all.
So let's zoom out for a second. Let's look at the bigger picture. How does this proposed law in India fit in with what's happening around the globe? Is India following the pack, or is it carving its own path here? Well, when you look at the global trends, it's pretty stark. The world is moving decisively in one direction, while this bill is trying to pull India in the complete opposite one. More and more countries like Argentina and Malta are embracing self-identification. The international consensus is that forcing people to go through medical evaluations is a violation of their human rights. So this amendment wouldn't just put India behind. It would mean India is actively swimming against a global tide that's moving toward more rights, not fewer.
At the end of the day, this isn't just about a process or a piece of paper. This debate strikes at the very core of India's constitution and the whole balance of power in its democracy.
So this is the crucial constitutional point. Can Parliament pass a law that essentially erases a fundamental right that the Supreme Court has already said exists? This dynamic almost guarantees that if this bill passes, it's headed straight for a court challenge. It's setting up a major showdown over who gets the final say on protecting fundamental rights in India. Which brings us right back to where we started. It all boils down to that one single massive question that's at the heart of this entire debate. It's a question not just about laws, but about autonomy, about dignity, and about the fundamental right to simply be who you are.